Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. With me is Brian Young, the Turtle Dork.
Happy Friday, everybody.
And Lisa Gullickson, Wife Dork.
Hello.
And Brad Gullickson, Mouth Dork.
My name is Inigo Montoya. Prepare to die.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork. And welcome to the It Modcast podcast, Fistful Friday.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay!
And this Friday, in honor of the new science fiction film anime adaptation, Ghost in the Shell, we have a fistful of whitewashing.
Yay! Shit, I fucked up that quote, by the way, guys. It's, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
That's it. There you go. All right. So let's kick the controversy off. This is our top 5, our fistful.
Well, what is this in honor of?
The Ghost in the Shell, the whitewashing of the character of Major Makoto by Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
They even changed her name in the movie too.
What's her name in the movie now?
It's not a Japanese name.
Her name is Jill?
Yeah,
it's just Major?
It's Major, but it's like her name is different. They changed it.
Okay.
So it's not the same Major. Anyway.
All right.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that when we review the movie. Brian, you're number 5, whitewashing.
All right. So my number 5 is probably a film that most people have probably forgotten about, and I actually forgot about it, and I did a little bit of research, and it's based on a true story.
Oh, no. This is going to be the same one as my number 5. You go ahead. That is also mine.
Continue,
A
Brian.
million different things.
No, I know. I know what it is, and it's also my number 5.
What is it?
No, you say it.
21?
Yeah, that was also
Really?
mine. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Wait, what?
Both of you are referencing the movie 21?
Because I think I know where the very popular research site he went to.
What's that?
Wikipedia, of course.
Not really. not really, but...
Well, that's what I did. I went to Wikipedia, whitewashing.
I could pick another one.
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, 21, which was a film that came out in 2008, directed by Robert Lukatek, and it stars. Well, the biggest one is just that the kids in the film. Now, this is based on a true story, and I think from the research I did I saw this movie, 21, way back, and it's got Lawrence Fishburne, Kevin Spacey, Kate Bosworth is in it, but the character Jim Sturgis Ben, who plays like the head of this group that they basically, I think they were like students, and they went to like Vegas and MIT students. And they would like
They did the card counting.
Counting the cards. But these group of kids in the real life story were Asian or Asian Americans, and they decided to make them white. They had a couple Asian characters in the film, but the Jim Sturgis character specifically, that character that in real life was an Asian American. And then the director came back and said that, the reason they didn't do that is because they didn't think they had could find an Asian actor or Asian American actor that was bankable that they could put into that role.
Because that
That's
motherfucker
I know,
is
Ben
bankable.
Ben Sturgis, I know. I mean, you already had Kevin Spacey and Lawrence Fishburne to really sell the movie, and it's a mid-budget film, so I think you could have took a chance and a risk.
That is such a bullshit response.
I know.
Dude,
I know.
White directors, wake the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening today, and this was 2008. So, I mean, no excuse, because I think they, especially in a film like this, they really could have took a chance.
What a totally mediocre movie.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it would have been a good opportunity, a great opportunity to really stay faithful to that true story. But
the actual guy, Jeff Ma, he did an interview with USA Today, and here's the quote, reading from Wikipedia. It says, "I would have been a lot more insulted if they had chosen someone who was Japanese or Korean just to have an Asian playing me." And to me, I just think, like, my answer to him would be, like, put in the work and find an Asian actor that can play you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, I do think that it is important to the character, especially when you're portraying real people.
Yeah, if it's a real life story, a true story, I think that's what really caught my eye. It's like, okay, it's a true story, and I mean, it's not like it's a character that was adapted from like a comic or a book or something like that. But this is a real life story, and you're changing the ethnicity of these people. I don't know. That just felt wrong to me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Lisa, you're number 5.
My number 5, I'm going to have to switch it up real
sorry,
quick.
I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay. No, it's good. Do you know what I'll do? I'll refer to a case where there could have been whitewashing and it did not happen, and that is in Girl Fight.
Yeah.
So we talked about this with the director Karin Kusama when she was trying to sell her script for Girl Fight about a Latina girl who gets a fascination with boxing and wants to become a boxer. That studios were offering to buy the script if she switched out the main character for a white actress, and she refused to do it, and she ended up making the film independently, and that is where we get, what's her first name? Michelle Rodriguez.
Yep.
And she did become a huge actress, and maybe the Girl Fight was not a huge box office success. Nobody got rich off of Girl Fight, but it was a Sundance darling. It was really well received, and Michelle Rodriguez's career exploded, and she's in the Fast and Furious franchise, and is amazing and kicking butt all over the place.
And she's in the upcoming Alita Battle Angel, directed by Robert Rodriguez, which is actually embracing a lot more ethnicity into that. So, you know.
And the fact of the matter is, changing the ethnicity of the character changes the story. And we are all striving for a future where ethnicity does not matter and everybody's, treated the same, and everybody has the same resources, and everybody is treated equally. But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And so changing the character does change the story, especially when you're changing it to a white character.
All right. Brad, you're number 5.
So,
Liam Neeson?
Race bending, no, not Liam Neeson, but race bending is something that has been occurring since the dawn of cinema. And, we are hopefully growing out of it, although Ghost in the Shell might say that we're not. We're still a long way out until we're casting appropriately. But I do find myself, there are instances throughout the history of cinema in which a white actor should not be playing that character, but is, and yet I still love it. And one of my favorite bits of race bending occurs in Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 2. Michael Parks, who plays, the sheriff in From Dusk Till Dawn, or the Texas Ranger in From Dusk Till Dawn and Kill Bill Volume 1, he comes back in Volume 2 as Esteban Vallejo. And it is such a bizarre, weird, awkward, and ugly performance. But his gangster pimp is still incredibly alluring. And with just 5 minutes of screen time, he portrays the most ruthless of monsters. And of all of Bill's father's figures, the characters who shaped the central beast of the Kill Bill franchise, Esteban is certainly the ugliest and most despicable and just damn gross. And Michael Parks hits that perfectly.
He does.
So that's my number 5, Brian.
Okay.
Kill Bill Volume 2. You can't own Kill Bill.
I can't, and it's not on my list. No, I thought you were going with, when you were off air before we started. I thought you were going with The Bride. Because of like the whole idea, like we talk with Iron Fist and just having white.
I mean, a case can certainly be made for her being a white savior character.
Yeah. But I thought that was the direction you were going. I totally forgot about Esteban. Yeah,
disgusting.
He's good though.
All right,
so good.
All right, my number 5 is another one you can't have, Brian. It's Fisher Stevens from Short Circuit. Are you serious, Daniel?
I do. I have it right here. It wasn't my next one, but it was on my list. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a really good one too.
Fisher Stevens is not an Indian name, but his character in Short Circuit was supposed to be an Indian character. And back then, like, I didn't know any better. I don't even think I knew who Fisher Stevens was outside of those films, except, he was the guy from My Science Fair Project. So yeah, if you know what that film is, you got cool points from me.
The greatest part about My Science Project is that guy's car, when he hits the button, the little middle finger comes up.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been wanting that my entire life.
Yeah. So yeah, that's weird. Like I haven't watched those films in a long time, but I think, like, if I go back now and watch it, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty cringe-inducing.
When I saw, while I was doing my research, I was looking up Short Circuit 2, and I saw the thing with Aziz Ansari. I don't know if you saw. He was on a late night talk show, and he was talking about how the character from Short Circuit was a real inspiration for him to see an Indian person, and when he found out that it was a white person, he was like, "Man, what the fuck?" Like, I just thought, because he's really a big advocate on just having diversity in film. So just for him to identify as an Indian person and to see a character like that, but then to realize that he's not really Indian, like that's
a great performance, Fisher Stevens.
Yeah,
I love Short Circuit Part 2. I enjoy Short Circuit 1, but Short Circuit 2. With Michael
when
McKean.
He was like all in gold. He made him in gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the one where the plot is we're going to take the brilliant science of Fisher Stevens' character and turn it into toys.
Make toys. Yeah. That's right. Oh wow. Huh. Short Circuit. All right, Brian, you're number 4.
All right, my number 4 is a bad movie. A really bad.
Like Michael Jackson bad. Or like
horrible. No. I wish it was Michael Jackson's bad. No, this shit is horrible. Okay.
Say it.
So, the actor is Justin Chatwin.
What?
Goku, Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah.
They still combed his hair up in the shape.
They did.
In the anime shape.
So, from research, I heard that because Dragon Ball is hugely popular in Japan, and that character of Goku is highly praised and revered, for them to make, and this isn't like, okay, we're going to do an American. I mean, you can't really call the character Goku and then basically have, this white kid play the character and just to make him look like him, just, give him bedhead or whatever. I mean, you have Chow Yun-fat in the film. I mean, the
he was in that?
Yeah, the movie's bad. So I don't want to try to say, if they would have changed the character or, put an Asian or a Japanese actor, it would have made the movie better. No, it wouldn't have made the movie better. The movie is garbage. But the fact that it is Dragon Ball and that property, you can't do that. And with this name being Goku, like, okay, if you're going to change everything, just like with Ghost in the Shell, like, you're not going to call, Scarlett Johansson's character, Major, what was it, Makoto, what was the name?
Go ahead.
No, I'm not digging this hole any deeper. But yeah, you can't have Dragon Ball and have,
So wait, his name was Goku in the movie? His name was Goku. Change it? Like, it wasn't a nickname?
No, it wasn't like Gary or nothing like that.
Gary Goku.
It was Goku. Yeah, that was just blatant. They made no apologies for that.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. All right, Lisa, you're number 4.
My number 4, I'm going for an animated film, and that is Kubo and the Two Strings.
God damn it.
Kubo and the Two Strings. Because it's all Japanese characters. It's telling a very Japanese story. But then all of the voices are done by non-Asian white actors.
Mm-hmm. And you can't get much whiter than Matthew McConaughey.
You can't. You just straight up can't. And I'm just wondering, like, do you get a pass if we can't see the people? I don't understand. No.
It affected my enjoyment of the film.
It's a distraction.
Yeah.
Especially because these are such visually, like when you hear these voices, it evokes these actors. When you hear Matthew McConaughey, you see Matthew McConaughey.
And he's not even trying to, like, change his voice and give him a specific accent.
But would that make it better? That would make it way worse if Matthew McConaughey was doing his best Japanese
Well, I don't mean a
accent.
Japanese accent. I mean just not sound like you're from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Texas Beetle.
So, like, that's a reason I really like Moana. They went out of their way to find an unknown actress of Hawaiian descent, Auli'i, whatever her name is. I should have looked it up. I think that's right, though. I just watched a video of her singing the Moana song with the little girl. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
But I do think that animated films don't get a pass. Even though I've grown up with it. I mean, I grew up watching Aladdin. I now know that.
Oh yeah.
Jafar.
Yeah.
Yikes.
British accent.
Her name is Ayuli Cravajolo.
Let me look at it.
I said it correctly, perfectly.
I think I was more right than you. Auli'i. Yeah.
I said it right. That's what I said.
Cravalho.
I said that.
Anyway, so I think that,
Good pick.
Thanks.
Brad, you're number 4.
I am the monarch of the sea, the ruler of the Queen's Navy. It is Sala, as played by John Rhys Davies from Raiders of the Lost Ark. That dude is not Egyptian.
It's not.
And, I don't know why my list is turning into a defense of whitewashing, but I love that performance. I know he has more in common with that dwarf he played in Lord of the Rings, but Sala is one of the best sidekicks to Indiana Jones through that saga, and I miss him greatly in the other sequels.
Yeah.
And John Rhys Davies just brings so much passion and boisterous joy to that character.
Yeah.
I love him so deeply, but he's not Egyptian.
Good pick. Brian, I'm going to follow your bad film up with a bad film of my own. And this is from Spawn. D.B. Sweeney plays Terry Fitzgerald. In the comic books, Terry Fitzgerald is black. But in the film, D.B. Sweeney obviously is not black. He's white. And for whatever reason, they chose him as to cast him in that part. And like your film, this film wasn't. I mean, it's weird because they had not Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen was in it.
Yeah.
But Michael Jai White was the lead, which yes, okay, that's good because Al Simmons is African American, so you need Michael Jai White to be him. But why they chose to recast or cast Terry?
Because they needed a bankable star like D.B. Sweeney.
Who's not? I'm not buying tickets for that dude. So I don't know. Like, I can't even begin to try to understand Hollywood's thought process for when they make these choices.
I mean, like in Spawn's case, it's just such an insignificant character, even within the context of that movie. Yeah. He's probably just like friends with the dry cleaner.
But still, like as a comic book fan, as a reader, as other readers of that book, and as African Americans who just, regardless if your character's insignificant or not, to see yourself represented on the screen in some way, shape, or form is one step closer to, away from when you didn't have any representation and you had Laurence Olivier in blackface, but to represent your race. Like, that's just, I'll take an insignificant character over somebody in blackface. Yeah. Not saying that it's that dramatic nowadays, but that's where we came from. So even someone insignificant. So for people who are still alive, who remember watching films in that way and not seeing themselves on the screen to seeing someone else, whether it's a supporting character or not, I mean, I still think that it matters. So yeah, that's my number 4. Brian, you're number 3.
So my number 3. Looks like I got a theme here. Not just bad movies, but I'm actually going in years. I started with 2008. Last movie was 2009. This is 2010.
Because Wikipedia goes in order like that.
Well, no. I'm just saying because my list, I actually have a lot of different movies.
It's
but
actually
the ones
alphabetical on the whitewashing page for some
Is it?
reason. Yeah, I don't understand.
But
that.
my list is all over the place. But the movies I'm picking are actually going chronologically. I'm gonna stick with this one. Okay, so 2010 we have.
Is this another?
Yeah.
Is this off of your list?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
But it's a good pick.
yeah, it's a good pick. Another bad film. Maybe that is a theme. Bad films. The Last Airbender. And basically, I'm going with the main cast. So you can go with Nicola Peltz playing Katara, Jackson Rathbone playing Sokka, and Noah Ringer playing Aang. So yeah, those actors definitely sound like they fit those roles. Yeah, this I think was a travesty. Not just a bad film by M. Night Shyamalan, but just again with the idea of what The Last Airbender is and what it means to a lot of different people. Just everybody who loves that series and knows those characters, to just kind of take your typical white young actors and to put them into these roles again, just like with Goku, and have these names, like it just doesn't make it feel like a film. It's not. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what M. Night or the studio. Maybe he didn't have a say in this. But again, I don't know if changing or being faithful to the characters would have made the movie any better.
No.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Whether or not that's the case, whether or not it would have made the movie any better, because
irrelevant.
There's somebody out there that enjoys that movie, and
Yeah.
that somebody out there who enjoys that movie may have been a person of color who would have done them some good to see some people actually of color casted in those roles. So I don't think it needs to be in terms of is it going to make it? And I understand what you're saying as far as the studio saying, well, we need to have a bankable person to bring the box office in. But I mean, as far as like
That's such a poor argument for the status quo.
It really is, and whether or not it'll make a good movie or not, because there are plenty of bad movies with race appropriate casting in it. So
absolutely.
I don't think that.
And also, let's look at like a bunch of movies that have race bended in recent years, and were they successful? Exodus, Gods of Egypt. No.
But then another thing on The Last Airbender, something I was looking at in my research, that now I'm not too familiar with the show. You may know the show a little bit better, but the like the Fire Nation or the Fire people, they did cast appropriately, or they did cast like people of color, but ultimately within the film they kind of made them like the bad
guys. So it was people of color versus the white people.
Yeah, and a lot of people had issues with that.
That's Dev Patel too.
Yeah,
and so a lot of people had issues with that with the movie as well. It's like, okay, yeah, you put the people of color in the film, but then you make them the villains of the picture. And I definitely can see that point as well.
That movie was just bad all around.
Yeah.
I remember when Brad and I went to go see that film, they forgot to give us, like, it was a 3D showing, but we had no glasses, and Brad and I didn't even care. We just watched the whole movie.
The entire theater did not have 3D glasses, and we were all watching a blurry movie.
And none of us gave a shit.
Wow.
We just sat there.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
From the beginning? From the opening?
It was, because it wasn't billed as, I think that they just put on the wrong one. Because it wasn't billed as a 3D movie.
Yeah, they switched it eventually.
Yeah, but it was really weird. And that scene where it was like a dragon, it was supposed to be like a 3D dragon weaving around, like it was just a mess. We couldn't see anything. It was so blurry. It was messed up.
All right, Lisa, you're number 3.
My number 3 is one of those movies where it's whitewashed, but I love it. I don't know. To get out.
That's my entire list, Lisa.
But that is the performance of Natalie Wood in West Side Story.
Oh, yeah.
I guess because I grew up with this film, and I don't know what other movies I've seen with Natalie Wood in them. So when I grew up, I just thought that Natalie Wood was Latina. That just was my reality. And I remember growing up and finding out that she was in fact not. And the actress who played her sister was played by Rita Moreno, who would go on to win Best Supporting Actress for her role in the film. Could have very well just played Maria. She was a Tony Award winning actress, and it would have been a different film, clearly. But it was just sad that they had to Natalie Wood, also not a singer, so they had someone else do Natalie Wood's vocals. So she was neither a Latina nor a singer, and she played the main character in this musical about race
Latina
relations in an urban area. Yeah. And it would have been a completely different film if Rita Moreno was in that lead role. But at the same time, watching that movie, I got the message of the movie. And I don't think that things should get a pass because they're old, but this film came out in 1961.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Brad, you're number 3?
I'll go back a few more years, Lisa, to 1957's China Gate from director Samuel Fuller, in which Lee Van Cleef plays a Chinese general. And I don't know if you know this, but Lee Van Cleef is not Chinese. But I really enjoy how absurdly dashing he is in this film. He's the main villain of the piece. He is lusting after Angie Dickinson's half Vietnamese gun runner. Angie Dickinson also not half Vietnamese, and he's really a despicable villain. And with the eyes of 2017, looking back at 1957 to see how it was okay just to put like this Lee Van Cleef in a black jumper and say like, yeah, he's Chinese. That, like Lisa said, that's not an excuse, but it is really, really weird how acceptable and like no big deal that was. Yeah. John Wayne could play Genghis Khan. Okay.
One of the most insane episodes of The Monkees was one where they had white actors in like Asian makeup, and it takes place in like a Chinese food, and it's just really, really awful. It's really awful. I guess it just in the 60s they just did not give a shit.
Yeah. My number 3 is now I'm going in with the whitewashing in films that I just happen to really like. In Edge of Tomorrow, the film is Tom Cruise plays a gentleman. His last name is Cage. And Edge of Tomorrow is adapted from a book, a Japanese book, entitled All You Need Is Kill, and the lead character's name is Kaiji Kiriya. Kaiji Kiriya, and he's a Japanese soldier in the future. But in this film, Tom Cruise is obviously not Japanese, and he is not obviously playing that same character as they have renamed him. And from when they announced they were going to adapt this film, and then they changed the title of it, and then I realized that they were going to probably change that character. It was something that always kind of stuck out to me, and I kind of wish that they had gone with, stayed closer to the source material, because yes, that film, like I said, I do enjoy it, and I love that it's a Tom Cruise that I don't usually see, as far as his character being so fallible in the beginning and then so cowardly and then growing into the Tom Cruise of the Mission Impossible films and the Jack Reachers. I enjoyed his performance, but I do still wish that they would have just adapted that character from the literal.
Well, so I have a question for you, Darren. If I'm Tom Cruise, and I read a novel by a Japanese author, and I was like, damn, I want to make this movie. I mean, is it wrong for me to want to adapt that story? Because isn't that a little different than what's going on with Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, because I think also another thing...
Because he completely changes the setting of All You Need Is Kill.
Because that's another thing with another adaptation from an anime is Death Note. A lot of people have been like saying the same thing about Death Note, but Death Note is an American remake that takes place in Seattle. So I don't think, and a lot of people are up in arms about that, but I'm like, okay, I get it.
And like, what about The Ring?
Yeah, I mean,
well.
if you're doing, like, if it's not set in that area and you're doing an American remake of it, like, to me, I don't see a problem with that. I don't know.
Well, I just feel like, well, if they're adapting that novel, that book, then they're taking that concept or whatever, then I would have liked for them to take that character and adapt it to screen.
I don't know. Like, so what about movies like High Fidelity, where the original novel takes place in England, but what's his name?
John Cusack.
John Cusack wants to star in the film of High Fidelity, so he just moves it from England to Chicago. Like, is there a problem with that, or should he go, no, John Cusack, you're either learning getting an accent, or finding an English actor because it's an English story. But they changed it to an American story, and now John Cusack is the star of it. So I think that I don't know. It is definitely a gray area where you go, I like that story. This story takes place in this country. I want to take that same story and then make it so that it's set in this country. You know, I don't know. It's definitely a gray area, but I think that if you're able to interpret the story and
I think what the problem is representation is a huge issue, right? There are not as many Asian Americans or Asian stories being told cinematically as there are white stories. There's not as many black stories being told as there are white stories. You know, so representation is a tremendous problem. And when you have something like Ghost in the Shell, where you take everything about it and you just put Scarlett Johansson in it because, quote unquote, she's more bankable, that is problematic.
Yeah, and I think also to Darren's point is the idea that mangas don't really get a big budget adaptation.
Well, this isn't a manga; it's a novel.
What?
All You Need Is Kill.
Okay, but it's originally a Japanese novel. Yeah, so I just think adapting that, you may want to see something that's more representative of that actual novel. But I mean, I could see maybe why the studio, because they say, okay, we're doing an American remake of that. But I mean, I could see why, you might want to just do a direct adaptation of the source material from that and have the setting and everything the same way of how it is.
It's like the same thing when I was researching this. I came across the film Warm Bodies. I did not read that original novel, but apparently in the book, the female character, the main romance, the girl non-zombie part of this romance, in the book is half Ethiopian, and it was played by a white actress. I don't know her name.
Teresa Thompson. No.
I'm
Palmer.
just out of names. I'm out of names. But to me, I'm going, oh, well, would that have changed the story then if she was like, what was the choice behind changing that from a half Ethiopian actress or a black actress to a white actress? Yeah. Was the motivation because that aspect of her character was not important to the story and they wanted to use this actress? Or was it because they go, oh, well, audiences are not going to identify with a girl of color in that story? I don't know.
I think that choice is straight out of ignorance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
I would bet you
Like,
that the
to me,
people
that's
adapting
different.
that novel had didn't even read that book.
I think, well, for me, like some part of it, I can side with the argument sometimes. Well, does this casting change the story? Does it change the character? But there's a part of me who I don't care if it changes the story or not. I just want to see someone who looks like me on the screen. I want my daughter to know that it's possible for you to do those things. It's possible for you to identify with that character. It's possible for you to identify with those actions and be inspired by that. person who looks just like you. Like, I want her to be able to identify with that. I want to be able to identify with that. I don't care about if it changes the story or not. Like, I just want, and it may be hard for others who don't know what it's like to only have a minuscule representation of yourself in your life, in your day-to-day life. It may be hard for people to understand that, but that's the case. To the point now where, excuse me, for me, it's normal. It's normal that white actors and non-Asian, non-African American, it's normal for me to see them in main roles and in starring roles. And then when we finally do get some representation of color, it takes me a moment sometimes to adjust and accept and say, okay, well, this African American person is the hero, is the star, he's not going to die before the end of the film. Like, it's weird. It's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain living in that. But that's been me personally. That's been my life for 38 years of going to the movies and watching TV. And so, again, in order to break that cycle to what you were mentioning before, Lisa, about we need to get to that point where it doesn't matter if this person is black or white, or we're not. There's no whitewashing podcast or whatever. Like, we need to get to that point, but in order to get to that point, the stipulation of, is this going to affect the story or not, I think that has to be moved aside. It just has to be
a concerted effort.
A concerted effort to have this representation. And then once we have that representation, and that's the norm, then we lose the discussion of is it going to be a better story or not, or whatever. It's just because. That's just why not. He's good in the part. She sold that line, or she sells the scene. They have good chemistry. I don't care whether or not, they're a bankable actor or not.
Right.
But just for me personally, it's hard to explain. Like, it's just a weird thing to look. And then most of your life, I look at the screen, and Tom Cruise is my hero, and all the characters that I grew up with, Peter Weller and all these, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever, like, those are my heroes. And it's only one way. I look at the movie screen more than I look in a mirror, and to the point where the movie screen becomes my mirror. So I just see that, and then I just think, okay, well, that's what a hero looks like. So it's so weird because, like, now, bearded people with beards and facial hair, now that's the end thing. Like, manly men and beard, Kurt Russell, and we're in an age of like beards and manly men. But like before, like when heroes were like clean shaven and all that stuff, like that's what I thought heroes should look like. So it took a while for me to get used to a guy with just a mustache. Like, it's like, I don't like, he doesn't look right. He just has a mustache. He just shave that off and be like a clean shaven, square jawed like hero or whatever. So like what I see visually, psychologically, and for the last 38 years of me going to the movie theater really informed my perception and my idea of what something is supposed to be. And when it's all one color, subconsciously and psychologically, like, I fall into that thinking, well, if this guy's on the screen, he can't possibly be the hero by the end of the movie or be alive, because he's not white and he's not this or she's not that or whatever. So I just think that for me, a part of me doesn't care if it's going to change the story or not, but I just want to see more representation. And I'm half black and I'm half Japanese, so I got double duty. I want I want more. But yeah, I just want that for my kids. I want that for my fellow people of color. I want that for everybody, not just people of color, because when white people see that that's the norm as well, then they start treating me like I'm normal. You know what I mean? So it goes beyond just this story that's being told and whether or not it's good or not. It leads into behaviors outside of the theater and people's perceptions. Because for a long time, if you didn't know about another culture, you took what was represented on the screen and you took that as law with you when you left the theater and how you interacted with people in society. And so I think that, if you're going to change, that's a way that can help. It's not just on the movies, but I think it's just a way that can help. Anyway, Brian, I'm sorry. That was a really long, wide tangent. Your number, where the fuck are we at? 2?
2.
Sorry.
Nah, you're good. My number 2 is, again, 2013, so I skipped a couple of years. I know, Brad, you love this film. You love this film a lot. Lone Ranger.
Oh,
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
it's Tonto.
I love this movie because how goddamn weird it is, and how uncomfortable and wrong-headed.
Yeah,
I enjoy it as
weird.
that.
It's very weird. I own it. I like it too. I'm not gonna lie, I do.
You don't see $200 million spent on a Western too often.
you know. But yeah.
Tonto, what the fuck?
Yeah. And it's so weird to me because during the press of this film and leading up to the release of this film, Johnny Depp kept saying that, yeah, I have I'm quarter Cherokee. And this has never been proven. This has never been researched.
Brian, you should know.
I'm
a quarter Cherokee.
He could just say I'm a quarter Cherokee, and no, they've actually tried to do research on this. There's been people from Indian descent who actually say, okay, where are the facts of this? Where is your proof? And he's never proven that he has a quarter. And even if he does, the world doesn't see Johnny Depp as Cherokee.
I'm sorry,
they
Brian.
see a white guy.
There's only one person who could have played Tonto in Jerry Bruckheimer's Lone Ranger. And that is Johnny Depp.
Okay. The only person?
Apparently.
Okay. But yeah, this was a big one. This was this was a huge story even before its release, from the moment that he was cast. Of course, Gore Verbinski has worked with Johnny Depp in how many films? 1 million films. So
4?
Yeah, so the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Rango.
Yeah, that's probably it. Okay. Yeah, he wasn't the Mexican. That was Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, also Mexican.
Was he Mexican in
No. The gun's the Mexican.
Wait, Gore Verbinski directed that?
He sure did.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
That was the first time I heard. I remember hearing his name.
What?
That is a speed bump. All right, move on.
But yeah, Tonto, Johnny Depp, those two just don't mesh. They don't connect. I'm sorry, Brad.
I do like that weird ass performance.
It
though.
is very weird.
There's cannibal rabbits. It's an ugly, weird movie.
Lisa, you're number 2. I'm still thrilled that Gore Verbinski directed the Mexican. What the fuck? I'm sorry, Lisa, number 2?
My number 2 is the casting of Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. And this brought up a lot of debate because the Asian characters in the original comic were not necessarily the most
politically correct,
global-minded interpretation of Asian people within the context of the comic. Yeah. And I think that the casting of Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, they were trying to separate themselves from that original character and maybe how offensive the original character was. And I think maybe they were going, well, it's a woman, so that's another.
But here's the thing, though. Wong is also an incredibly racist portrayal in the original Doctor Strange comic books. But they found a way to still have an Asian American actor portray that character in a respectful, updated, modern way.
Right.
And they could have done that for the Ancient One, too.
Absolutely.
I love Tilda Swinton in that movie.
And she's an alien.
So. Absolutely. But they could have found an Asian actor for
Always.
the Ancient One.
Yes.
Good pick. I had her in this long list.
I knew somebody would pick it, and I was like, I can't believe I've already gotten to number 2.
This is my list, Lisa, so you're good. I got
okay,
good. Brad, you're number 2?
Charlton Heston has a Mexican and touch of evil.
I thought about that one too. I thought about that one, yeah.
You can put a little suntan on him and a pencil thin mustache. Charlton Heston still not Mexican.
Yeah, I thought about that one.
And the way he plays Vargas in Touch of Evil is just so deadpan and straight. There's no affectation to his voice. He is so absolutely and utterly Charlton Heston. It's a weird-ass movie to watch. It's a masterpiece of filmmaking.
It's great, yeah.
But it is so bizarre. Yeah. I love that movie. Charlton Heston's not Mexican.
Oh, good pick. My number 2 is another film that I really love, and that's Brian De Palma's Scarface.
Yikes!
Starring Al Pacino as the Cuban the Cuban refugee Tony Montana, because Al Pacino is not Cuban.
What?
Yeah, and his
Pacino's not a Cuban?
No. His Cuban accent has become stuff of legend, as that film has, and whether or not that movie is a great film, that is highly debatable. But I can't deny that I enjoy watching it, and I enjoy Pacino's like crazy over the top performance,
Cartoon performance.
Oh man, it's insane.
What do you think about Jason Momoa's Cuban accent in The Bad Batch? As Miami Man.
It's way tame compared to Pacino and Scarface. I mean, shit. You know what? But by like by the end of that movie, I kind of like forgot about it. I kind of forgot like, well, that's not Jason Momoa is definitely not Cuban. But yes, it's nowhere near as off-putting as Pacino in Scarface. It's just you talk about like watching bizarre performances. Like that's just weird. Like I mean, really.
That was the Tonto performance of its day.
It really was. It really was. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's my Tonto for my list. Al Pacino in De Palma's Scarface. Brian, your number 1.
So my number 1 comes from a film that I actually really, really enjoyed, and it comes from a director that I highly respect, and that's Ben Affleck in Argo. He plays Tony Mendez. Now, from what I know, I think Ben Affleck is Irish Catholic from Boston.
He's wicked, man.
Tony Mendez, I don't think is Irish Catholic. So, yeah, but it just caught me off guard a little bit watching that film and seeing. Now, I know Ben Affleck puts himself in a lot of his films, most of his films, but the story of Argo, telling again a real life story, and the guy Tony Mendez who orchestrated this idea to get these people out from just to free them. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. But yeah, again, just having a real life character and him being of like Hispanic descent and having him being played by Ben Affleck, I'm sure you could have found somebody that could have played that role. And although I thought Ben Affleck was really good in the movie, and I like Argo.
It's fine.
I know. But yeah, I think Ben Affleck as Tony Mendez is my number 1.
Your number 1. All right, Lisa, your number 1.
My number 1 is the casting of Jim Caviezel as Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, but he's kind of the stand-in for every interpretation of Jesus I've seen, and I've seen many since I was a little child, and I actually remember the moment I found out that Jesus was not white, because when I grew up, I had a Bible that had a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus in it, and it was like my mom would read me Bible stories from an illustrated Bible. And I don't know why, but Jesus was blonde hair and blue-eyed, and I do not think that my parents stand by that. I think they're just like, Children's Illustrated Bible, let's do this. Yeah. But and so I was in my CCD class, like our Bible study class, when I was like a little kid. I'm not exactly sure how old, but I was drawing my picture of Jesus, and my neighbor next to me, Chrissy, goes like, "Why are you drawing Jesus blonde?" It's just like, what? and Jesus has been portrayed on film many, many times, and it's always like this, either like this high contrast, fair-skinned, brown-haired Jesus. And I think that it's just so strange, like the fact that Jesus is so associated with a place, Nazareth, Middle East desert, and for him to be portrayed again and again as a fair-skinned person, just like Jesus is a character that many people take very personally, and is such, an inescapable character and concept. And I think that to portray Christ as a white person is just like an active lie. Like, if Christ existed, if there was a man named Jesus who walked the earth, there was no way that he looked like Jim Caviezel. And there was no way he looked like the blonde Jesus in my childhood Bible.
Lisa.
Yes?
Charlton Heston is Moses.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He can play all races.
He almost made my list. Both him and Yul Brynner.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yul Brynner.
He's been the king of Siam. He's been a Ramses. He's been a pharaoh.
Or how about, I don't want to say somebody else.
What's the name of the guy who played Monk? He's played every race, too.
Tony Shalhoub?
Tony Shalhoub has played all of the races.
Yeah. All right. Brad, your number one.
He tasks me. It's got to be Ricardo Montalban, the Mexican actor, playing Khan Noonien Singh, the Sikh warrior from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and also the original series episode, The Space Seed.
I thought you were going to go with a different Khan.
Here's the deal. Montalban's Khan is one of my all-time favorite cinematic adversaries. But that dude is not Indian. And when they were doing Star Trek Into Darkness, the J.J. Abrams version of Khan, there was rumors that Benicio del Toro was going to play Khan. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. They're going to continue to race bend with Benicio del Toro in the Ricardo Montalban role. I kind of like that. And then they got the pastiest British dude ever to play Khan Noonien Singh. And then they just didn't call him Khan Noonien Singh. They just called him Khan. And it just highlighted, really, how that wasn't cool in the first place. And when you watch the original series episode of The Space Seed, and he's got, even more pancake makeup on, it's just one more character in a long line of whitewashed characters that should not be, and we should be beyond it going into Ghost in the Shell. And, even the conversation of Iron Fist and white savior characters, it's time to frickin' grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about we recorded our Power Rangers episode today, and we talked about, I don't remember if this was on the recording or off the recording, but how, like, in the early 90s, they really did put a concerted effort to put children of color in movies and on television, and, like, it was, like, visible. Like, as a white child, you start to notice, like, oh my goodness, there are people of other races on TV. But also there was a kind of stumbling over themselves a little bit as, the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger. And I think that sometimes maybe there's like a fear factor where you do not want, like with the Tilda Swinton situation, where you don't want to misrepresent something, so you don't represent it at all.
And you still F up.
And that's just as bad, if not worse. It would be better to try and fail,
and then have a teaching moment
when
they say, well, this is how you should do it.
Right. I was researching the movie Stonewall. I didn't put it on my list because I have not seen Stonewall, but they talked about, like, how they took all of the lesbians and the transgender people out of the story of the Stonewall riot because for some reason they thought it would be confusing to the viewer to know that there were also lesbians and transgender people fighting for gay rights at that time. And now lesbian and transgender people are feeling left out of that piece of history. And it would have been better to just confuse people and put transgender people on the screen and then leave it up to interpretation later. Like, don't, like, it's better to, like, I think about, like, those old 60s comics, the Green Arrow, Green Lantern, where they really
70s.
70s comics, where they were really trying to create, you know, be more modern, bring up issues of race and bring up issues of, you know, eco awareness and things like that. And they really, I mean, really stubbed their toes on some really fucking offensive stuff. But to me, I'm like, I admire, like, at least they tried.
But, like, Lisa, we've been doing a decade's worth of trying.
Right.
And maybe you should,
No,
you know...
I mean, like, I hope that progress is being made. Is progress being made?
It's hard to. I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, yes and no. Like, for every step forward, it's always 2 steps back. Like, for every time we get a cast like we have in Marvel's upcoming Black Panther, we get, you know, this Ghost in the Shell shit.
Right.
Like,
but at least people are talking about it.
and that's the thing. Like, people need to talk about it. The issue is when they do try, like with the Green Arrow comics and with with the not putting in, with casting Tilda Swinton because they want to maybe do it right,
or avoid some awkwardness.
Right, avoid awkwardness. What these people are doing, they should be talking on a board level, on a committee level, on a conceptual level to the groups of people that they're trying to represent, to say, how do we best represent you? Right. Not what the white man's idea of representation is, or this is how I think the Black community is going through this struggle, so let me draw this comic book character fighting this injustice in that Black community. No, speak to someone from that community to say, what is your plight? How are you being received or not received, and how do we best represent that? Like,
or how about have somebody from that community
tell
their
story? Yeah,
right.
Like, so, but if there's no communication with the representation or who you're trying to represent, then it's just going to get lost, and then you will have the misinterpretations and the misunderstandings, and then the misrepresentation ultimately. So yeah, so my number one is not a film that I enjoy. It is actually the one pick on my list that I find deplorable personally, and like, I hate it. So when I was like, what, 21, 22, I think, I was dating this girl, and and I was still in the movies then, and so we would always watch movies, and she would say, you know, I asked her one time, so what movie do you want to watch the next time I come over? I want to rewatch Breakfast at Tiffany's. Have you ever seen that? And I was like, no, I don't watch movies like that. I'm not into no chick flicks or whatever. But she's my favorite movie. You gotta watch it. I love it.
This effing film.
And so I'm like, all right. And so I never ended up watching it. I would always put it off because I just didn't feel like watching a movie called Breakfast at Tiffany's. So one year for her birthday, because she had never owned it. She never had it on, this was back in DVD days. She never had it on DVD, so I was like, you know what? I know she loves this movie. Part of her little plethora of gifts for her birthday, I'm going to give her Breakfast at Tiffany's. And then, to be even nice and take it to the next level, I'm going to pop it in and I'm going to watch it with her. So trying to be the good guy, like, I did that. I buy her Breakfast at Tiffany's. Oh, she's all excited. And I said, you know what? We're going to watch this. She's all like, oh, yeah, we're going to finally watch this. Man. So Mickey Rooney plays Mr. Yunioshi, and it is Audrey Hepburn's upstairs neighbor. He's supposed to be Japanese, this Japanese guy. And so Mickey Rooney is in fucking yellow face, and he's doing this really hyper fucking stereotypical racist version of a Japanese person. And like, I'm watching it at first, and the girl, she's watching it with me, and when he comes on screen, like, she starts to giggle and chuckle, and at first I don't know, I remember going, what,
What the hell am I watching?
Yeah, like I kind of chuckled too, but then like as the seconds went by, which stretched out for an eternity, like I started to get really fucking angry and offended. Like, what the fuck? Like, hold on, that's not a Japanese guy. And then just the way he portrayed that character, every time he would show up and his fucking teeth and those glasses, like talking about it now is getting me fucking angry. I'm appalled. Like I can't. So I think maybe like the second or third time he comes on the screen, I'm like, you know what? I can't watch this shit anymore. I don't know if you know this about me, and I was being friggin' sarcastic. I was like, but I'm half Japanese, and that dude is not Japanese, and I find that offensive. That shit's not cool. This can be your favorite movie, but I'm not watching this shit. And I have never seen that movie. I have never seen that movie since. I have never had an urge to go.
How
back
did
and
she
watch
respond?
She was quiet. She's like, I'm sorry. Like I didn't know. I didn't think about it. She was African American, so she understood. She understood where I was coming from, and we talked about it late. Like that night, we didn't talk about it. I didn't want to talk. I was fucking pissed. But like later on, we would talk about it, and she understood. But yeah, like I can't stand that movie. Whenever someone brings that film up and talk about it, like I automatically go back to that character and that depiction of him. And I just get fucking livid. Like it physically makes me angry.
That movie's deplorable for a lot of reasons, and that's definitely at the top.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know anything else about the rest of that film. Like that's the only thing that I can think about when I think about that film, and it just makes me angry. Like it hurts. It saddens me because now I'm half Japanese, but I grew up with my father's side of the family. I grew up in Mississippi and Yazoo City. And in the D.C. area, Maryland area, so I grew up around predominantly blacks. So I identify heavily with my African American roots, but in an effort to stay connected in some way to my mother, who, as I've said before, who left my father and I when I was 2, I did as much as I could to read, seek out, watch things from Japanese culture to stay connected to that, so I wouldn't feel so separated from it growing up in the neighborhood and around the people that I did. So, I just imagine that people who were strictly Japanese, who grew up in Japanese culture, who still live their life in Japanese culture, when this movie gets imported over there, and then they see that, and they see that this is what these people see when they look at you, and this is what they think of you, like that's hurtful to me. That's like, it makes me go to her, to everyone else who likes that movie. Is that what you see when you see me? Like, is that what you see when you see my people, my mom, and other Japanese? Is that what we look like to you? Like that fucking buffoonery? And it's just hurtful to me. And the fact that movie is held in such high regards, and that's entertainment for some people, like that shit pisses me off. And I don't know, like that. Yeah, fuck that movie, man. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's my number one. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what your top 5, your fistful of whitewashing is. There's a long list. If you need help, hit Wikipedia up. That shit is long. Unfortunately,
and incomplete.
That list is long and incomplete. It really is.
So before we go, we are going to see Ghost in the Shell, right?
Yep.
And I know for Brian and yourself, Darren, you've been pretty excited about seeing this movie. I mean, where are you falling on your feelings towards this whole Scarlett Johansson situation at this point, before having seen the adaptation?
It's weird, and like when I think of that movie, because I probably said this on the podcast before. I don't like Scarlett Johansson. Like,
that's crazy.
It's crazy. I just don't like. I don't hate her.
Yeah, look at Brian. Brian, you and me, man.
That's his baby. No, Brian likes her in a way that you might not like her, Brad, because you're married. Hopefully, you don't like her the same way Brian does. But
Lisa, earmuffs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go. But she's not a compelling actor to me. I just don't. I just don't find her that compelling. All right. So here's the thing. She's the least thing I'm interested in this film. I'm looking at, like, I love that Takashi Kitano is in the film. I love that the guy that they cast as Bato in the anime, that he looks like Bato. I love that.
Except he's white.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that dude is. Yeah. But see, we can.
I'm not letting you go, Darren.
You don't have to let me go. I'm just saying, like, the visual representation of the film is what I'm most interested in. They're changing the story. I already know for a fact, so I can't even go in hoping for a good adaptation of, like, the anime and the manga. I just like visually what that anime is, because first and foremost for me, because I don't even love Ghost in the Shell the anime. Like, I respect it for what it is in the pantheon of animation and the milestone that it was for the detail. Right around the time it's Ghost in the Shell and Akira that most people talk about when they talk about, you know, the pinnacles of animation and the detail and science fiction and cyberpunk and all that shit. And that's what I gravitated towards Ghost in the Shell. I've never liked that anime. I loved the animation. I loved the detail in it. But as a movie, the story is so dense. Like and I respect it. Like, that's some dense science fiction. Once you I don't know if have you watched it yet.
I have
once
not.
you dive into that, you'll see it is super dense. So much so that it's not accessible for me. Like, I can't even try to begin to decipher what he's trying to say. Like, it gets really philosophical, and that's fine. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but the ideals in it and Masamune Shiro's voice in it is just so complex and dense for me that I can't get into it, coupled with just the dense details of the animation and all that. So for me, I'm just coming from a visual aspect. I want to see, because I have yet to see an anime adapted live action visually, a good visual representation. I've yet to see it yet, but from the trailers of the film that they've been showing, it's the closest that I've seen. Brian talked about fucking Dragon Ball Z. That movie looks nothing like the anime.
No.
You know, they're always talking about they're going to do Akira. That movie's going to look nothing like the anime.
Back up too.
It is,
Yeah.
and especially if Ghost in the Shell does well, it's going to look nothing like the anime. But Ghost in the Shell is the closest that I've seen to, anime live action. And again, when I get excited about is her costume. That's the costume from Ghost in the Shell Arise, not Scarlett Johansson, not anything have to do with her, but just the clothes, the things that were on the anime or in the manga that are now live action on the screen. That's what I'm excited about.
And that's what gets me excited, is just the visual aesthetic of recreating that world that we saw in the anime. Because, like you say, there's not really a lot of films, American-made films, that can recreate the visual aesthetic of an anime, like just the richness of that world. And I think the one thing that gets me excited and also makes me nervous is the direction of Rupert Sanders, because Rupert Sanders, I think, is visually an amazing director. Because Snow White and the Huntsman, the first movie and only movie that he's done, and he's come from a visual effects background, that movie is visually stunning. So when his name got attached to Ghost in the Shell, I was excited because I thought that he could do a great job of bringing this world to life. But at the same time, the Huntsman, the Snow White movie is incredibly boring. Incredibly boring. Probably one of the worst experiences I had watching the movie ever.
Damn.
I mean, this was a packed. I'll just go into this real quick. Like, Snow White and the Huntsman was a packed theater, and I've never heard silence was so deafening in my life throughout that whole 2 hours. It was just so silent.
I liked it okay.
And that movie is incredibly boring, and that worries me about Ghost in the Shell as far as the direction, storytelling wise. But I'm excited for the film.
I don't know. We're going to probably do a review cast, right? We're going to go see it on
if
Wednesday.
everybody sees it.
Yeah, we'll definitely have all seen it by then. And we'll talk about it, and we'll challenge Darren's negative ScarJo opinion.
Yes.
I mean, he has talked on this podcast about how much he loves Black Widow and the Hulk in Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
all right?
I love their dynamic. I didn't say anything about her performance.
She's great in it.
I mean, on a whole, like,
you're just bringing your hate of Lucy into this conversation.
Dude, I don't remember shit about Lucy. Yeah. There was a monkey at the end of it.
Was there a monkey? I missed it.
Yeah, it was Lucy. The monkey was Lucy.
Was it? She turned into a monkey?
No, she didn't turn into a monkey.
She de-evolved?
She saw the first monkey.
Yeah, that movie's nuts. I gotta actually go back and watch that. That movie was nuts.
You hated that film so hardcore that night.
At Comic-Con?
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch it. I
fell
remember.
asleep.
We'll talk Scar Joe
All right. All right.
next week.
Did you see, speaking of Scar Joe, she's got a new trailer. Did you see it?
Rough Night.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did a reaction to it.
Oh.
That was like a couple of weeks back.
Whoops.
Darren is not watching Turtle Dorks.
I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I didn't watch.
Reaction.
He puts too many up. I can't keep up with them shits.
I'm trying to keep the content going, man.
God damn. All right. So I'll check it out. But anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for us. Follow the podcast at ItModcast on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Facebook. Wait, not on Letterboxd. We should have an ItMod Letterboxd.
That would be so difficult.
Oh yeah, I know. That's
It was like Andy when he asked, "What's ItMod as a whole
I know.
favorite
It's
movie?"
like, do
and
that.
Brad's like, "My favorite movie is ItMod's favorite movie," and we all just had to acquiesce.
Yeah, but see, we'll all have the password, so we can go in and change that shit.
Oh yeah,
All right.
or just to average out our scores.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
wants
yeah.
to do some math?
Do averages. Brian is at the
Yes.
Turtle Dork only on Twitter. Because on Instagram he's at the Turtle Dork 1. And on Facebook he's something else. Lisa is at Sidewalk Siren on Letterboxd, Twitter, and Instagram. And so is Mouth Dork at Mouth Dork on Letterboxd, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Untapped. And I'm Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on all social medias. Follow the podcast also on the YouTube channel. That's going to do it for us. Be on the lookout for at Film Club Old Boy. I'm sorry, not at Film Club. Hashtag Film Club Old Boy, because our next Film Club
ItMod
episode.
Film Club. Hashtag ItMod Film Club. Hashtag Old Boy.
Yes. And then I was going to say, check out our Fistful of Whitewashing, but this is still
This
that
is
fucking
it.
episode.
We're getting really
God damn. I'm
improving so much.
hallucinating right now. I'm just going to sign off here, folks. Hit me up later if you want to know the rest. All right. Peace.